I got it. So thanks for everyone coming. In case you missed before, I'm Johnny Diggs. I'm the Chief Technology Evangelist for Tropo, and I'm also the founder of Geeks Without Bounds. I was very excited to find out that George, how do you pronounce your last name? Chamales has offered to kind of give an overview of several of the free and open source tools that have really been developed in the last couple years. These are all pretty new technologies that have been used in crisis and disaster response. And so he's going to give like an intro and an overview of them so we can kind of know what tools are out there and maybe get some ideas on stuff to work on over the next couple days. So here's George.
Hi guys. So first off, thanks Diggs for putting this together. And it was really entirely on his initiative to go through and build this here. Having hosted at Mission Social is always really fun to hang out here. So what I'll be going through really quickly is giving a crash course overview of 4 of the open source crisis/humanitarian projects that are out there. These are projects that are ongoing, have a lot of support, and have been used extensively in the field. But before we get into that, I want to give a quick overview about my background. I come from a computer security background in government and corporate world, and about 6 or so months ago, I came to a hackathon that was hosted here at Mission Social by Medan. It was talking about Haiti, and I had heard about Haiti through some of the work they did in the Haiti earthquake, and through that started getting more and more involved in the community. And what I found is there's a really, really interesting, exciting community of people that are working on these projects and that have long-term, ongoing development efforts where they could really use some help. And they're doing amazing, amazing work. In the last 6 months, I've helped reporters track violence in eastern South Africa. I just helped out with the Egyptian elections that were taking place. I'll be helping out with the Sudan referendum that's coming up. I've helped with the Pakistan flooding and a number of other different projects that are going on. And each of them has been very satisfying, very fun, very stressful at times, but something that's really interesting to do. And the reason for giving this presentation is to make you guys aware of some of these long-term development efforts. So if you're looking for things that you can contribute to on an ongoing basis, there are a number of projects out there that can really use your help. And before I get into this, I also want to say that I'm familiar with each of these projects, but the only one that I'm super familiar with is Haiti. So I'll be doing a high-level overview, and if there's anything that I'm saying that is wrong, please jump in and correct me. The first project we're going to talk about is Frontline SMS. So Frontline SMS is a Java-based SMS communications gateway. It's a Java applet. It runs on your desktop. You can take a GSM phone, connect it into the laptop or computer, and then poof, you now have a fully functional gateway where you can send messages through the application. You can track contacts. You can track message streams back and forth. You can send emails, and it's used throughout the world to do messaging on the ground. And it's one of the cool things about Frontline SMS is that it's used on the ground. You can't use it anywhere else. You have to be sitting somewhere in the middle of a country with a computer. It's got a number of plug-in systems. One of the biggest set that's being developed is called Frontline SMS Medic, and that's a number of applications that are designed for use by healthcare workers out in the field. They have systems where people, nurses, etc., working in these hospitals can send in messages to a Frontline SMS system stating what's the status of their beds and things like that. So there's been a lot of work around that sort of development approach. This is one of the maps that they've got of the Frontline SMS deployments. One of the cool things is you can go and you can click on that and you can find out exactly what they're doing. What I really like about Frontline SMS is that it's designed to work in the field. You can set one of these things up at home and play around with it, but if it's being used in the field, it's being used by people who are using it to save lives and are using it to really make a difference. Next up, we have Sahana. So Sahana is a disaster management system. It's a web-based application where you could go through and is designed for large organizations to do disaster response and to manage all the intricacies and various projects that take place during a disaster response operation. It's web-based. I believe it's written in Python, and they're currently working on a PHP version, which is in development. And the thing that really kicks ass about Sahana is that it does freaking everything. That you can't really see the list on the side very easily, but I mean they've got features for person tracking, for camp tracking, for just going down the list, shelter registry, disease surveillance modules, social networking modules, etc. It's got so many features in there. It's kind of mind-boggling the amount of work they put into it and the capability that they've built in. Next is OpenStreetmap. So OpenStreetmap is a editable map of the world. So it takes the wiki approach to building maps. My understanding is they do a combination of open source geodata that they've been able to pull in, but also combine that with a lot of just person going through and tracing things out. So they have the ability to do a variety of different types of features, anything from simple polygons to they have setups to indicate airports, to indicate bicycle lanes, and all of this can be edited online by anyone. It's a really exciting project. They've got a whole bunch of data in there that it's entirely user contributed. And in terms of why it kicks ass, actually, if you guys could kind of take a look at this, we can't get the coloring very good on the screen, but this is a map of Haiti following the earthquake, showing the edits that were made to, we'll just jump back. So this is showing Haiti prior to the earthquake. And what they've done is a visualization showing the edits that were made immediately following it, where each of the flashes in white is somebody jumping in and adding a feature to the map. So you see almost immediately, as soon as the quake hit, people were jumping in, focused around the area that was affected by the earthquake, primarily in Port-au-Prince, and they're mapping everything from roadways, damaged structures. I believe they also were doing refugee camps as they saw them forming. All this being done by volunteers based on satellite imagery, and information from the field. And so you get a sense of just how quickly people have responded to that, and that data became one of the foundation data sets for the response of Haiti, because they had one of the most up-to-date maps in an area that was very underserved beforehand. Next is Ushahidi. Ushahidi is again an open source report and mapping platform. It's a very simple idea. You can collect messages from a variety of sources, be it SMS, be it email, or any kind of other plugins you want. Then that data can then be mapped and categorized. So there was a large deployment that was done in Haiti where a team from a number of different organizations, including Frontline SMS Medic, were able to get an SMS short code that they put out to the field and saying, SMS where you are to this short code and what you need and what you see. And we're able to collect tons and tons and tons of information. I think the total corpus was somewhere around 80,000 messages that came in. And then of those, around 3,000 to 5,000 of them were actually plotted on the map, including translation from Haitian Creole, categorization saying this is somebody who needs help with water, this is somebody who's trapped, etc. It was used by the Marines and all the different response organizations out there to kind of collect information from the ground and get the situational awareness. I worked on the Ushahidi deployment for Pakistan, which is still ongoing, tracking information from the floods. And what we've got here is a combination of on the left side is the front end, showing the mapping system, and the right is the back end, the admin system where you can go through and approve reports, etc. Again, you can take in messages from a variety of platforms, put them all up into a map. The reason I really enjoy working on Ushahidi is that it's designed to be adaptable. It's designed to be used and extended in a variety of different situations. So the map up there has got everything from crises or earthquakes in Chile, violence in Gaza. There's one that was done for the tracking the oil spill in Louisiana, another one tracking the riots in Oakland as they happened. And it's a huge different number of different ways you can work on it, and it's designed to be extended. They have a new plugin system in 2.0 that makes it very easy to add new functionality to it. So this is an active community. There's a lot of people working in it, and there's a lot of really great ways to get involved, and a couple of really good reasons. The first is that your skills are absolutely needed. All of these projects are relatively small and are still largely rely on volunteers, be it volunteers setting them up, volunteers debugging, testing, submitting new features. And there's an opportunity to work in these communities because they're really results driven. If you have something that works, that will make a particular project work better, that will help save lives, it's very easy to make an argument for getting it into a code base because they actually genuinely care about the software and how it's being used in the field. And you have the opportunity here to really make a difference as you're working on this stuff. I started off 6 months ago. 1 month after that, I'm helping people in South Africa. 3 months after that, I'm staying up all night, reading text messages from people in Pakistan saying, our village has been destroyed, we need help, and helping categorize that information and get the word out. So it's it can be a very satisfying experience. And also, it's a new field. This approach of using open source technology in humanitarian and disaster response situations is still very new. Each of the projects that are in here are also relatively new. And the great thing about it is that it's obviously starting to catch on. The picture is pretty blurry, but it's David from Ushahidi, and the guy on the right is the CTO of the United Nations. He attended a conference that was held in Boston last 2 months ago. And we had the CTO of the UN who not only gave the keynote address, but also stuck around for a day and a half, interacting with the groups, learning about the projects, understanding what is going on. So you have a combination of a new field, a new use of technology in an area that has not had it for quite some time, in an area that can use it, and in a situation where people who are significant players in the field are really taking it seriously. So I think it's an excellent place to be and lots of fun to work in. So if you want more information, you can hit up the different websites. In addition, there's also a couple of groups and lists that are pretty good, crisiscommons.org and crisismappers.net. Great places, great resources that are a combination of volunteers, people working in the field, and so you'll get updates on various projects, you get a sense of who's working in the community, and periodically during disasters you'll get members of the response communities dropping in saying, hey, we're here, we need this, and so opportunities to jump in and help out. Any questions at that point? All right, great. So I work with a group called the Compa Group. We do various types of deployments in the field, and thanks a lot for your time.
Cool. So I was gonna, Tropo is sponsoring the food and stuff, and they've actually sponsored a lot of the activities that Geeks Without Bounds has been doing. So Jason is the head of the Voxeo Labs, which is in charge of the Tropo, the entire Tropo product. So I thought I'd let Jason talk a little bit about what Tropo does. There are some prizes that that tomorrow they're going to be awarding for people who write stuff that uses the Tropo API. And so I thought give Jason a couple minutes to explain what Tropo is, if you've never used it, and how you might be able to use it for this type of to help in crisis response.
Let's see, all right. So what Tropo is it's a cloud-based platform that allows you to add voice capabilities, real-time communication capabilities such as chat, Twitter, SMS to your applications using a scripting environment or a REST JSON interface as well. So effectively what you can do is you can take your applications and begin mixing in voice with those. So voice recognition, text-to-speech, interaction with users in an automated fashion using Ruby, Python, PHP, JavaScript, or Groovy on that side in terms of the scripting. So that's one piece of it. Another piece is that using that same API and application environment, you may do SMS. And one of the things that we noticed through what happened in Haiti, et cetera, you get these flood of SMSs coming in, but they're all freeform of what someone needs. And using something like Tropo, you can actually script an interface where you're actually getting the user to respond to what is effectively an SMS form interactively, right? So you begin to do some initial triaging, qualifying what that user needs or that person needs by saying, do you need help? What's your location? And start tagging the information that gets stored, because what was happening in Haiti with all the SMS responses is people were having to come in and read them, translate them, qualify them, which of course delayed that whole process. So Tropo is a cloud platform, right, that you can go ahead and engage and use. We've got data centers around the world, but it's also, Tropo itself is actually an open source Java platform as well. And we have an operating environment where you can actually take our cloud platform and deploy that yourself on your own machines, in your own data centers, et cetera. And we're working with ways right now in terms of the crisis response where we can make that available, as part of this going out in various regions of the world as necessary. And we're looking for ideas on how to actually enable that and do that, where we actually start pushing that technology, making it available, freely for those types of applications as well, on top of being able to use it from the cloud. Right? So any questions on that? I'll be around during the day and helping out, and if you want to, get some examples and hack on it a little bit to understand how you might be able to use it in an application. And there's lots of examples out there, as well in terms of how other people use it at hackathons and things like that. So happy to do that. Cool. All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
So this is the second event like this that I've been involved with. Geeks Without Bounds, we launched on October 10th. We did a hackathon, a multi-city hackathon on 10-10-10, and some really cool applications came out of it. And nothing that was really groundbreaking, but some simple, useful tools. One of the cool ones that came out was a mashup of Tropo and Sahana, and basically they're, like Jason was just saying, when there's a crisis, text messaging seems to be one of the main ways that people are asking for help now. It's, cell phones, even in developing countries that don't have computers or lots of internet access, cell phones are pretty prevalent. And so categorizing these requests and translating them and giving them prioritization is a huge component of crisis response. One of the groups in Seattle started working on something they call play sourcing, which is a game that it was very, very simple, basic game where you create a character and collect data, and then it gets dumped into Sahana, and that was one of the apps that won one of the prizes. There was another application called Loki.me, which is a simple, send an SMS message and it pops it up on a map, and whatever the message you sent appears on the map. And it was just a very basic proof of concept, like here's how you can do that, where it pops up from the location where you sent the message from. There was another one that it was very similar, a location-based, but it followed Twitter hashtags. So if you put a hashtag of, I think it was, help me now, it would pop up put it onto Google Maps and build it into that. So the idea is to take these tools and take data that government data that might be available, and figure out ways to make it useful, and extending the open source platforms to with technologies that they may not be sensible to. And that's one of the cool things I like about working with Tropo, is that it allows you to take them in and build in hooks to instant messaging, or hooks to Skype, or hooks into text messaging, or voice in real time. And a lot of them don't have that. And it makes it easier for the end users who may not be used to, can't get to a computer, but they can get to a phone, they can get to a landline. And that's where a lot of the voice stuff comes into play. So, I at this point kind of basically need to figure out what we want to do. And this is this is our thing. There's no rules really. We get to write them down. So we can break into groups if anybody has ideas on stuff that they want to do. We want to brainstorm some ideas. What do you want to do? Anyone?
Yeah, so I'm going to work. I'm sorry, what's your name?
Marco.
Yeah, so Mark and I are going to work on this multi-user Frontline SMS.
Multi-user friendly. Nice.
I would want to get up and just speak about a couple other potential projects.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, for those of you who came in after introductions, my name is Josh. I work at Google. And one project I just want to mention really briefly is called Person Finder, which was deployed first in Haiti, like so many other disaster response apps, and then in a bunch of other places, Pakistan, Chile, Afghanistan, some others. And there's a bunch of people hacking on it in different random hacks kind of now, so you can sort of chat with them on IRC on Person Finder. But it's a really simple app, and the basic concept is you say I'm looking for someone, and you type in some information about them. So you say I have information about someone, I have some information about them. It kind of puts it in the standardized format that a lot of people use for missing people and trying to figure out who's dead, who's alive, where they are, and so forth. And so that's a great app I can tell you more about. It runs an app engine written in Python and has pretty good documentation and can help you get started with that if you want. Another one is this idea of trying to figure out what gets built. There's a bunch of these events going on around the world today, and then also all the time there's crisis camps, Camp Roberts, a bunch of other sort of disaster-related hackathons, and there's not a lot of aggregation of what actually ends up getting built, where's the code, who worked on it, did it work, who uses it. So I'm working on an application that helps us track these hacks. So if you're interested in that, it's written in Django so far, and I'd be happy to chat with you about that. And then finally, you might want to take a look at the Random Hacks Wiki, which lists a bunch of other projects, just to give you an idea of the types of things, a little broad spectrum that might help you figure out, like, oh, here's something I'm really passionate about. So anyway, that.
Great.
Is Google proactively going into this space, or just throwing out tools? Yeah, so we've had a crisis response team for a number of years now, and we try to do what we can in certain situations. And in the past, it's been not super proactive, so we try to talk to cloud providers when we can, or build specific software, or provide resources in other ways. And now we're working more on trying to get up core infrastructure where we see there's a gap, and there's tons of organizations doing overlapping similar things, and big agencies that have similar conflicting databases. And Person Finder is an example where I think there were 17 different sort of databases, all slightly different formats, and now we're down to 2. So that's really, really good. That's not 100% accurate story, but that's like a reasonable summary. And so we try to see if there's a place where we can tackle some of these problems. Other areas are maybe like less immediate disaster, where we have a new project out called like Earth Engine, where you can do really big aggregation, some of that on raster analysis, like deforestation, or global warming, or flood impact day by day, or oil spill hour by hour, or whatever. So some of the things that we can do with our infrastructure that small organizations don't have the
Well, there are actually a list of problem definitions that have been defined. They call them subject matter experts.
Can we bring that up in the slides?
Yeah, that's what I was-
Yeah, you want me to, where's it at? And then I can plug in.
It's wiki.rhoc.org,
Yeah.
and there should be a problem yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
give me your,
Thing again.
And this is kind of an example of why I think I'm really excited about this hack tracking app. It's difficult to know who's working on what, who uses what's like, actually in active development. But at least gives you an idea of what some people think are interesting enough. I think it's fair to say Michigan's one really exciting area. I've seen people in. Another way to check is the IRC channels and see what people are talking about. But I know there's people working with Michigan stuff. I saw some people talking about Sahana a little bit. There's always people hacking on OpenStreetmap stuff. So this coverage is, clearly some of the core pillars that people are probably going to continue using for a while. The person finder, there's 3 or 4 different random hack events where people are working on that. And that's not to say you shouldn't work on something else at all. But I've seen those topics on IRC.
And then also, when you look through, one of the things that's really cool about the wiki is, and they list who's asking for it. So there's a couple of things in there that are being requested by the World Food Program, and I can't remember if I saw the World Bank on there, but I mean, the big organizations, they don't just kind of blithely ask for stuff. So that'd be another good one to look at.
So there are a lot of them.
Yeah. It's a little overwhelming almost.
Yeah, and so let's just pull up. Here's Person Finder we were just talking about. So if you aren't familiar with them, there's a whole wiki pages about each one of these problem definitions.
So in this particular case, it's pretty well filled out.
Yeah.
It explains 10, 15 different things that they would like to have accomplished at some point in the future. Some of them need coding, some of them
Yeah.
don't. Some
For
of them
example,
documentation.
that I just saw this Twitter bot. I see we have some Python people here, and the Twitter API. That could be a project that we do today. I haven't seen anybody pick that one up yet. Search API Chicago has picked up. Let's see what else we've got.
bring up the global pulse recipe manager.
What was it?
Discussion right under G.
Global Pulse Recipe Manager. So this will teach you how to cook. Let's see what it is.
So there's a lot of reading material here. We could spend 2 days.
Yeah, we could.
Anyone familiar with specific short-term areas where
Well,
there's some pain points or more demand?
I don't have to all super biased towards it, and I'm not going to be working on Person Finder myself, but it seems fairly well documented with some areas that kind of have different programming languages. If you're looking for something specific,
Yeah.
where you can say, like, I did something on creating an app that will be applied in disaster response areas. I think
That's
Haiti is another example of an extensible platform that is going to be deployed in disasters.
Yeah.
If you're excited about doing some piece of work where it's like, hey, next disaster that happens, there's a chance your code will be in action.
Yeah.
Those two, I think, make a lot of sense. And then you've got different languages to choose from: PHP, Python, JavaScript, CSS, and random documentation that covers probably 80% of the people here. I think those are reasonably large platforms that you can pick a small subset
Yeah.
to look at. That. On the other hand, if you see something really exciting in that list, and it's like near and dear to your heart, then that's really good.
Yeah, and the thing about these is you'll see if they have an owner, or like this one doesn't actually have an owner, but it's just been proposed. And there's contact information on each of them. So if you, and most of those people should be participating today, like Christina, who's this Flood Splatter app, is in Jakarta. So, you know, through the IRC, or you can email, or you can contact if there's something that catches your eye. You know, that's the thing, is that, you know, we can kind of decide if you want to break up into teams, if you want to work individually. It's kind of up to you. So, all right.
All right, let's do this.
No, my computer.
There were a lot of them.
Yeah. I was kind of hoping somebody would come and be like, I want to do this one. And I'd be like, all right.
So I'm personally going to be working on an app that tries to track all the hacks that are going on. So at the end of this event, I'm going to profile, aggregate all of those.
Oh, so you're doing the app that thing
It's actually written in Django. No, it's not on there.
Great.
All prices hacks. It's mostly built for so written in Django.
And what's the advantage of that?
So GitHub is a good repository with issues and stuff like that. But
Is
it's,
this front end that's just basically like
so it's required that your project have an account or somewhere like GitHub or be listed as an application.
I don't know either. Let's work on something. Sure.
That allow you to kind of group them together. So you can say, here are things that are written in Python. Here are things that were written in Python. Here are things that people use in the fields.
So you're basically adding tags to the different ones so you know languages and
That's basically metadata off the top. You can add tags, but tags are limited in some way. Let's say you decide you're interested in all of the things that are used by more than 10 people. That's, you don't want to go to through an arbitrary number of getting projects and just tagging them all. So it'd be nice to avoid the build a grid. I want to put on my new grid and then you add projects to it really easily.
all right, well,
Anyway,
good luck.
I'll be building that.
I'll see it when it's done.
Yeah, it's largely done. You can see it now. But anyway, that's how we work.
Sebastian, what are you doing?
Making the substitution of you.
Don't know what you're doing yet?
What kind of language skills and interests are you interested in?
I want to do iPhone dev for a while,
There you go.
but I don't know what projects.
By the way, if anybody needs a USB teacher,
Yeah, I don't have a great answer for that, but that person finder app, at least there's a lot of people working on IRC and other events that you could interact with. And maybe some people who are working on that one. And I think there was a decent mobile.
Person finder, I was looking at the demo and I was like, you guys have five entries in the database. Like, how are you supposed to play with that?
Well, you can add some more entries.
Yeah.
I
If you go to
think it's test.person-finder.
person finder,
Dot
maybe like
outlook.
it was actually worked already for me.
It did work quite well. In Haiti, yes.
S.person-.
Appstock.com.
I don't know.
Hey, Justin, you pretty good. How are you?
Looks like we have it running.
Oh, yeah. It was awesome.
I think it's very easy.
It is easy.
I would learn it. I said, I think
Of course. No, thank you.
It is very simple.
so.
Which one are you on here?
That's hilarious. We should try to get together. Well, maybe tomorrow. I'm actually I'm doing some hackathon North style stuff.
Oh, there you go.
But maybe next weekend.